Hey, welcome back to Decentralizing. Earlier today, I played a clip of Wertheimer talking, the founder of Taproot Wizards, Quantum Cats, and he's in this interview with Blockworks, basically talking about Bitcoin's branding problem. The audio was all messed up earlier, so I want to apologize for that. I am gonna play that clip and actually a little bit more. I'm gonna go a little bit longer and deeper into this live stream, and if anybody does join, please like, subscribe. Feel free to write some comments in there. I'd love to get a discussion going on this. Okay, so yeah, I'll just kind of be pausing the video as I go to. I used to be a high school teacher, and I like to get up on a podium and preach. So yeah, I think this will be kind of a fun opportunity for me to do that and see if I can stimulate some interesting ideas, discussion, and conversation in our Bitcoin and Web3 space. Okay.
One is that we talked about this a bit before, they're kind of uniquely Bitcoin in the sense that they're immutable, like they're truly immutable, and the data is on chain, and the issuer no longer has any control after the NFTs are issued. So that's one thing. It kind of hits the kind of Bitcoin ethos in a way that I think some people like. But also, Taproot Wizards themselves are based on a meme from 2013. Which is the Bitcoin Wizard meme, which is a really cool story. If we go back to 2013, most people didn't know what the word Bitcoin even meant, right? They probably never heard that. And the few people who did assumed that it was something that criminals use, right? Like you use it to buy drugs or whatever. So it had a pretty massive branding problem at the time. Most people didn't know it existed, and the few who did thought it was for criminals. Not great. So what some people who were kind of Bitcoiners did, they were trying to promote the Bitcoin subreddit. That was where people were talking about Bitcoin at the time. So they're trying to promote the Bitcoin subreddit to the greater Reddit community. And what they did is they did a contest. They were like, hey, let's come up with an ad. And someone posted this ad that basically looks like a wizard drawn in Microsoft Paint. That's what it looks like. Very silly. It says magic, enter money, and join us, and that's it. And it looks like super silly. But that ad ended up, at least at the time, being the most successful Reddit ad ever at the time in 2013. So it
Guys, I want to talk about that really quick. Obviously, I hold a Bitcoin Wizard. There are 1,337 of these that were done by Maven's Bot, the creator of the meme of which they are speaking. That I remember, running into that on Reddit, like back in the early days, 2014, in that bear market and stuff. Like I got in spring of 2013 in April. That's when Aaron and I made the decision to get in Bitcoin when we were teachers living in China. And, I do think that the spirit of the marketing of that campaign kind of died, like later. It got replaced by a lot of like fear and all the attacks that happened in the bear market. But that early energy and enthusiasm was about like making fun of ourselves and magic internet money. Like literally that's making fun of what Bitcoin is. And, I think that's totally fine. Like that's going to encourage people to join when we're just kind of playful with our attitudes and our mentality. So I think it's absolutely awesome that like Udi and Eric, these guys will roll in with sunglasses. Like he's got these orange FTX US sunglasses on. They'll roll in there with wizard hats, man. And they did this NFT NYC, and they gave away a Taproot wizard to whoever had the best costume. So people were coming dressed as quantum cats, as Taproot wizards, and it was the party of NFT NYC. That's what everybody says. And so, yeah, like that really shakes up Bitcoin culture, because Bitcoin culture is kind of like, I don't know, a little bit hyper masculine and aggressive and angry at times. And here's why I say this, okay? We're gonna get into this more. And I don't care if you disagree, because this is facts. I worked in blockchain security for a year at Coinbase. I was a contractor on the team there. And I remember that all the engineers there, like, there were very rarely people who were passionate or openly passionate to talk about Bitcoin. You know, there were times that we did go into some deep learnings about Bitcoin, but it was more or less attempts to get the other engineers interested in the mother of all chains, because like people just kind of weren't, you know. The boomer coin stereotype was already quite there, you know, and then you mix that with the energy issues and the unwillingness of the community to kind of like even entertain any changes whatsoever. And that doesn't work well with like innovators and engineers who want to do stuff. Okay, and here's my point. I remember that a couple engineers went to the Bitcoin conference that year in 2022, and like their takeaway, somebody literally said, and people, you know, are pretty polite on conversations where there's a lot of other engineers on. Somebody literally said, like, those Bitcoiners are assholes. Like, said something to that effect, or like they're being assholes. Like, just, and so, look, I think that's always been a vocal minority of Bitcoiners. Bitcoin inspires tremendous passion and like love. And with passion and love, fear and anger will step into those emotions from time to time, and defensiveness. So I do think we get some people that are very defensive, and if you attack Bitcoin, then they feel like all these other values are being attacked, which may not be the case at all. Okay, I'm going on my soapbox, but I'm having a good time. Let's continue the video.
Did better than all the other ads on Reddit before. People just loved it. And actually a ton of people that you talk to who were in Bitcoin at the time would tell you that the way they got into Bitcoin is because they saw that ad. So it's like this infamous, crazy, stupid ad. It's a cool story. It's a cool meme. And we think that it's like, we think Bitcoin has a similar branding problem today, in the sense that it's still, obviously today it's very well known, right? Like you'll be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't know what Bitcoin is. But if people actually look into Bitcoin, at least in the West, usually what they're going to see is a bunch of laser eyes on Twitter that are yelling that you can only eat meat, and that I don't know, a bunch of like rules and laws that have nothing to do with Bitcoin. And people just are like, and you know, you can't own other coin, that's a sin, so you can't do that, and a bunch of like crap that people just look at that and they say, okay, these guys are crazy. And best case scenario, they move on to Ethereum and Solana. Worst case, they just fuck off. So we're like, okay, there is a branding people, because those people,
or they become like Stephen Deal or Nassim Taleb and just make it their personality to shit on Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's really that's probably the worst case. So, you know, we were looking at that, we're like thinking, okay, these guys, the laser eye cult, it's small. It's not really the majority of Bitcoiners. Most Bitcoiners are not like that at all. But when people look at it, that's what they think that Bitcoin is. So that's a branding problem. And if you want to fix the branding problem, you need to put, you know, an alternative face for Bitcoin out there. And that's kind of where we're going with this. And I think a lot of people in the Bitcoin community were like, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, we fucking do need this. Like, this is actually something important we need to support. And also, I think for a lot of people in kind of the greater crypto ecosystem, you know, one of the things that I'm like almost ashamed of, really, is that I think in the last 2 years, most people who got into crypto since 2021, I would say probably didn't touch Bitcoin at all. Like, never got a Bitcoin wallet, never bought any.
I want to pause it for a second here, and I'm going to validate what he's saying. I have run a Web3 and cryptocurrency group via Facebook Messenger since the beginning of last bull run. And I would say the average age of people who are interested and joined is maybe like 30 years old. And I would say that even being a maxi and trying my best to really share why Bitcoin is important and why, from a financial perspective, point of view, hedging, geopolitical hedging, like digital gold, inflation bubble, you could go on and on and on. World's first digital asset, it defeated all the others. Proof of work mining is unique, and it's uncensorable, unconfiscatable. Okay, you can get into all that, and it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter with most people who got in this space since 2020. I'll tell you that right now. And if you want to know why I think that Bitcoin price performance, you know, kind of had that double peak in 2021 with the summer lull and the performance around 30K, it's because like we just couldn't get higher than that. I mean, you can't. Bitcoin is going to, if the asset class wants to grow, it has to attract new capital. The ETF is attracting new capital. Where are you going to get new retail energy enthusiasm? You'll get that eventually because people copy the rich. And right now, the rich are getting to front run all of us. Not all of us. You guys aren't front run. I'm not front run. We've been here a while. But look at the pool behind me, okay? So I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, like, I already won to an extent, you know? And like, if you're trying to get in this space and win, and you look at Bitcoin, and then combine the unit bias, right? The fact that, like, everybody just thinks for some reason that you can only buy one Bitcoin, and nobody wants to own like 0.034 Bitcoin because it just doesn't sound sexy or something numerically. And as I am a math degree guy, so like it's true. I used to teach math for a long time, and you know I had that crypto group, and I just could not inspire enthusiasm in Bitcoin. I could not defeat the media narrative. Didn't matter how many articles I shared about actual data and statistics and facts about Bitcoin mining and distribution and power sources and where it's going and how it helps with, you know, controlling the grid. I could go on and on and on. I could talk about that for hours, and I probably will at some point. So it has been an uphill battle as a Bitcoiner, and it gets to the point where, you know, you don't even want to tell anyone you're a Bitcoiner, because you get criticism from everybody, basically, right? There's like nobody who doesn't criticize it for one reason or another because of the either the medias or the government have attacked it so much for so long, for 15 years. So there's just a lot of propaganda and like a momentum we have to overcome there, and we have to fight and be persistent about and really just discuss it, like not be afraid to confront these issues, because I don't think we have anything to fear. I got into Bitcoin because I understood very early on that it was an uncensorable, unconfiscatable asset, that if it got like enough distribution and enough of a critical mass going, it was not going to be stopped, okay? And I think we need to help sort of gently onboard the world to the idea that this is an unstoppable network anyway, and they can play a role in shaping it the way they want. So like you can complain about the chain as much as you want, but I think action is always better than complaining. And that's why I take a part in the Bitcoin ecosystem, because I do think it's a force for great good. And I'm sure that you agree with me, right, on so many levels. But there's a lot of ways to look at it, and I don't think we should narrow our focus and our thinking to only one like message or one way of doing it, and just think that the people can only take one message. They can take multiple messages, okay? There's lots of people out there, there's lots of demographics, there's lots of nations, and to each their own is what I would say. Okay, let's continue. Guys, thanks for tuning in today, by the way, and if you would, do me a favor, just smash the like button and subscribe, please, to the channel if you're enjoying getting content like this and learning about Bitcoin and different points of view and perspectives within members of the community and the network.
Because there was no interesting opportunity to play around with, right? So people are like, okay, I don't know, NFTs and DeFi on other chains, and that's it. They're not even thinking about getting BTC. They're like, oh, it's too expensive and there's nothing for me to do there, and they just move on. And I think that's shameful. Like, that's absurd. Like, and it's also like really unfortunate. I think that everyone in crypto should have it.
Yeah, one way or another, people go and they play around. Like the early adopters in Bitcoin, many of them do. A large percentage did. I did. I put assets in ETH. I was into XRP way back in the first, like the 2017 cycle, like right around the peak. I bought some and then I just like wrote it down, and then I traded it in for more. You know, I had Bitcoin Cash, right? And I traded that in for other stuff. And, you know, I followed the Bitcoin narrative. I talked crap about Bitcoin Cash and chose the side, but like, look, nobody really knows how this game's gonna end. And if you pretend you are, that's just like hubris. I think it's good to hedge yourself a little bit, you know, throughout the ecosystem. Of course, majority Bitcoin, like heavily majority Bitcoin, but like I play around in the whole ecosystem, and I got into Chainlink early. I got into many of these different crypto assets that I think provide different utility or different ideas or a different solution that is needed in the Web3 ecosystem. And many of these will be failed experiments, but like if you're a hardcore Bitcoiner, you can't really talk about it. It's just like it's shit coins, and we stay away from shit coins, or we're not like a real Bitcoiner, like Udi talks about, like, you know, and it goes so far too that like I'm just dissing memes last cycle, you know, I'm dissing on Doge, but in the end I end up acquiring Doge, you know, and in the end I end up now getting dog to the moon, and now I'm into NFTs and ordinals, and I do see the utility, and I became a developer who is building literally a Web3 tokenization platform and website where you can tokenize your car and you can play a game in the real world that also has assets that reflect your progress, where you go, what you go and mint and what you go and find is in terms of treasure. Like, think Pokemon Go in the real world. I've built sort of an alpha version of this, and I'm continuing to develop this idea. And that all came from experimentation that I would never have gotten into if I was just a closed-minded Bitcoiner. Like, I've been an open-minded Bitcoiner who got into Ethereum early. I took a class on smart contract development. I was like, shit, man, I already have a computer science background. Yeah, I'm getting my MBA because I'm super interested in Bitcoin and like crypto, and I want to be able to handle these criticisms I hear from the traditional financial industry. That are, like, Jamie Dimon is always levying these criticisms and stuff, Warren Buffett and so on. And I expanded that mission a little bit to, I didn't really like seek to go back into a programming or cybersecurity role, which is what I ended up doing at Coinbase. But because I took that course in Solidity and I started messing around with smart contract development, it really led me down a wonderful rabbit hole where I got to like work with some of the best and brightest people that I've ever met. And all of them are passionate about the whole crypto ecosystem. And like when I hear people in the space like just trash Coinbase all the time, I'm like, dude, I think that's a limiting point of view. The vast majority of people I met there like really are crypto native. They really want to see the best for the ecosystem, and they really mean what they say when they say like stand with crypto. So I think that whole idea of stand with crypto, you know, Bitcoiners need to embrace that. They need to back up the altcoiners, and the altcoiners need to back up the Bitcoiners. And we all need to like stuff our bags, not financial advice, with a little bit of each other's coins here and there, because at least the ones that you think are going to make it. Because if you just diss it, and if you don't want to do that, fine, but like just dissing on it and actively attacking within our own community isn't going to help. Like, let's go after the real attack vectors, because like we're at the phase of, and then they fight you, right? And the fighting has really come from all arms of the federal government in terms of trying to sort of take away rights and freedoms that we are not guaranteed here. We have to actually earn through battle, you know, through litigation. So yeah, not financial advice, and do your own research on any crypto asset, obviously. This channel is not about trying to get you to invest in crypto. This channel is about, or trying to sell you certain assets. This channel is about like my lifestyle and how I'm trying to decentralize my life. And I like to share my education, my research, and also the decisions I'm making in the market with others so that they can learn from my mistakes and my successes. So yeah, if we want to build a world where all of us have the autonomy and the freedom to, you know, go to work when we need to and to work on what we want to, we need to create social structures and systems where we are empowered to do so. And that's only going to happen through programmatic, automatic, safe, smart contract type execution environments. So like, I still see that on the EVM. So look, everything, there's a lot of value everywhere. Like, you know, let's be open-minded enough to see it. Okay. Anyway, I think I've already talked enough, and I'm going to get dinged on my YouTube time on this. So I'll get on my, you know, I'll pontificate some more on this another time. Thanks again for joining me on this episode of Decentralizing. Again, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this content, and write some comments in there too. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. But remember, at the end of the day, we're all on the same side here. Like, we're all Team Bitcoin, and I'm gonna encourage you to try the whole Team Crypto thing too. Yeah, it's a good idea. Peace.